next week is going to be a week of very little sleep, a tremendous fight card, and a lot of fights and a lot of deals getting made as well.
Renowned industry experts have expressed their insights on the Riyadh season card featuring one of the biggest fights in the history of boxing. His Excellency Turki Alalshik has secured some incredible deals for the upcoming bouts in the Riyadh season lineup. While several fights remain unconfirmed, renowned boxing promoter Eddie Hearn has shared his thoughts on the buzz surrounding the event, hinting at multiple high-profile fights on the horizon for the event.
His Excellency doesn't really do a lot of deals not face-to-face. So next week is going to be a week of very little sleep, a tremendous fight card, and a lot of fights and a lot of deals getting made as well.
Sharing more details, Eddie Hearn went on to reveal potential matchups for the Riyadh season card. He also made a surprising announcement by disclosing the names of some fighters set to participate in what promises to be the biggest card of the season.
And I think if we're going to make Teofimo against Richardson Hitchens in a unification, that fight will get made next week. And if we're going to do Jack Catterall, that fight may get next week. He has to beat Barboza first.
Yeah.
It's a very good fight, but the winner of this fight on Saturday will be in a golden position at 140 pounds.
As Turki Alalshik is known for keeping the surprises under wraps until the main event, Eddie Hearn took the opportunity to reveal when these highly anticipated fights were actually scheduled to take place. He said, "I've done really well of keeping my mouth shut around His Excellency's plans because normally I just spill the beans on everything, but this stuff is probably 3 months old if I'm honest. You know, the first time that we discussed this was around the Fury-Usyk fight. You know, back in December, he showed me his plans for the kind of places that he would like to stage major fight cards." Meanwhile, His Excellency Turki Alalshik had a conversation with Carl Froch, where he shared his thoughts on the boxing plans and strategy that have inspired him to arrange some of the most exciting fights.
Actually, a lot of promoters and a lot doesn't take this risk, and we take this risk. You see what happened in the last 40 months, especially we have more than 20 world champion fights and 2 undisputed, and we will have the 3rd in February and next month.
While many exciting fights are on the card, fans have longed to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua face off next. Turki Alalshik has revealed the possibility of this highly anticipated matchup taking place in 2025.
What else did I want to ask you? Are we going to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua this year, do you think?
As a fan, of course.
Eddie Hearn has shed light on the potential fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, revealing whether the highly anticipated matchup will happen or not. In addition, he hinted at several other exciting bouts that could take place during the Riyadh season card.
Media or Twitter or whatever it was reported that the Bacoli fight was signed and agreed and the Wilder fight was signed and agreed. We've not had one conversation yet regarding Anthony's next opponent. Those conversations will probably begin after next week or in Riyadh. And we don't rule anybody out. I mean, really, when you talk about Tyson Fury, he would need to come out of retirement in the next couple of weeks to fight AJ next, because AJ is looking to fight himself twice this year. First one in the summer, June, whenever that's going to be, and then again at the end of the year. So if Fury doesn't come out of retirement soon, of course, that fight's not going to happen next. Is it Bacoli? Is it Wilder? Is it Dubois Parker winner? Is it Kabiel Zhang winner? I mean, it honestly could be anyone.
Furthermore, Eddie Hearn praised the Riyadh season for elevating boxing to the next level. He commended the event for its continuous growth and improvement, noting how it keeps pushing the boundaries every single day.
And it continues to be, by the way. It's an amazing business, an amazing product. But you cannot deny right now, boxing is hotter. And everybody's talking about it. And we're getting all the big fights, all the big cards. All the promoters are trying harder than ever to try and bridge the gap between themselves and Riyadh season, which is very difficult to do, but it's just an amazing time for boxing.
Meanwhile, rumors continue to swirl about a potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Initially, it was rumored that Canelo would face Crawford, but talks shifted to negotiations between Jake Paul and Canelo. However, recent news has revealed that Canelo has signed a 4-fight deal with Riyadh season, starting with a bout against William Skull in Saudi Arabia on May 3rd. This will be followed by a fight with Terence "Bud" Crawford in Las Vegas in September, and 2 more matches planned for Riyadh in 2026. Eddie Hearn recently weighed in on the situation, highlighting the key issues surrounding the deal and pointing out the potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez.
I think one of the issues around the whole situation was they'd agreed the Crawford fight, but they hadn't agreed a May fight, and Canelo wanted to fight in May. And there aren't really a lot of options, but by beating Skull, you can become undisputed. And I feel like the fight with Crawford as an undisputed fight is pretty cool, because Crawford's undisputed at 47 and 40. And he could become a 3-division undisputed champion.
At the same time, Oscar De La Hoya has criticized Canelo Alvarez for backing out of his fight with Jake Paul. He slammed Canelo for his decision to make a new deal, emphasizing his perceived disloyalty to the boxing community and fans, as said by Jake Paul.
So the news came out last week that Canelo just signed a contract to fight Jake Paul.
So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right.
But at the last minute, Canelo ditched the agreement to instead sign a 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh. Jake Paul pointed out that Canelo has zero loyalty to anyone.
Truth is, you can be bought. You're a money-hungry squirrel chasing your next nut.
And doesn't give a shit about his fans.
And you're screwing over all your Mexican fans by doing your fights in Saudi. It just shows what type of person you are.
De La Hoya continued to blast Canelo for his disloyalty to his promoters, noting that Canelo had previously treated him the same way. He then criticized Canelo for leaving Eddie Hearn, sharing his perspective on what he believes is a dismissive attitude from Canelo towards Al Haymon as well, someone Canelo had once praised highly.
Canelo, I was a little butthurt when you left Golden Boy Promotions back in 2015. But then you did the same thing to Eddie Hearn.
Bruh.
And now Al Haymon, who you said was the best promoter ever. What? Just months ago.
Al Haymon, thank you. I think right now the best promoter, BBC.
What?
You don't give a about being loyal to anyone.
On the other hand, Aid Oladipo reacted to the news of Canelo potentially facing Jake Paul, acknowledging that financially, it's one of the biggest matchups. He backed up Eddie Hearn's opinion of the fight to emerge as a bestseller. Furthermore, Aid expects Canelo to knock Paul out within the first round.
I will say this though, there's enough money in it, and it's financially it's the biggest fight that can be made in boxing, and I hate to say it.
Really?
It really is. I mean, I think I saw Eddie Hearn the other day talk about it in terms of numbers. If it goes on Netflix, you're talking hundreds of millions. You really are. And if you're Canelo and this comes across your table, I mean, Canelo would knock out Jake Paul in a round if he wanted to.
Agreeing with the general view that Canelo seeks money fights, Aid Oladipo supported his decision, stating that Canelo carefully weighs risk and reward. According to Aid, fighting Jake Paul presents zero risk and offers a highly commercial opportunity. He said, "I think Canelo is at the stage of his career where he's already proven himself to be one of the world's best ever fighters. Fun fights for the most money, he will weigh up the risk and reward, and there's zero risk in Jake Paul, and the reward is so big, so why not do it for 100 million? Now that the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is on the card, Chris Algieri has shared his thoughts on the matchup. He expressed that he anticipated this fight happening and offered his perspective on why Canelo took so long to decide who he would face next.
I kind of expected this. It seemed more and more Canelo was backed into a corner in terms of not having really viable dance partners for super fights, and it seems that Canelo's looking for super fights or very meaningful fights. He's got the William Skull fight coming up, obviously not a super fight, but it's for the IBF title, so then he wins there, he's unified again, and then he gets the fight with Bud, so it's a unification match there as well. So it's a big opportunity, huge fight. I mean, it's the biggest fight that can be made, I think, right now.
Chris Algieri expressed his support for Canelo, citing the difference in weight classes as a key factor. While he finds it hard to envision both fighters in the ring together and is skeptical about the fight actually happening, he acknowledged that it would be a very interesting matchup. He said, "I'm favoring Canelo, but like I said, as I get to class, we get closer and start to see, start to break down how these guys are going to match up. I have a hard time even picturing them in the ring together based on the size and just the fact that this fight's happening, but we got tons of time before that happens, but it's going to be interesting." Chris Algieri also shared his thoughts on the potential fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis. He went on to discuss the possible matchup between Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield, offering his insights on how that fight could unfold.
Roach has a lot of skills and a good chin, but Tank has been on a tear lately. And in terms of Shakur and Show, I don't see see really how Schofield can pull the victory out on that one.
With many exciting fights on the Riyadh season card, the anticipation for a potential matchup involving Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield continues to grow each day. Eddie Hearn echoed this excitement, emphasizing how important this fight is for Shakur Stevenson's career.
So it depends on the opponent. Like if you're fighting Chadazian and you've beat him before and like it's quite awkward and defensive, it's sometimes hard to look sensational. Floyd Schofield, if he comes to win, will be a tremendous fight and Shakur will look $1 million. If he comes to survive 12 rounds, it probably won't be a great fight, but you know, everything I've seen of Floyd Schofield, he's going to come for the glory. And if he does, I think Shakur will look sensational.
Showbiz the Adult has also weighed in on the potential fight, predicting a knockout victory for Shakur Stevenson against Floyd Schofield. He said, "I'm going to bet on my book right now $1,000. His hands are healthy, he's gonna knock out Floyd Schofield. He was sitting down on his shots more because his hands were healthy. I'm telling you, Floyd Mayweather, who had hand issues himself, Floyd Mayweather's knockouts dropped substantially, not just because of him moving up in weight." As the Riyadh season event continues to build excitement, Frank Warren weighed in on the significance of the fight night and the overall spectacle.
It's going to be an emotional night, and it tells you about the British public's affection for him and the amount of fight, amount of tickets all the guys on the undercards have personally sold. This could be going to be a very atmospheric night, an emotional night.
Another compelling matchup could be Joseph Parker versus Daniel Dubois. Many industry experts have weighed in, offering their perspectives on this highly anticipated fight. Frank Warren has also shared his thoughts on this upcoming fight. He recalled speaking to Tyson Fury about this fight. Frank went on to propose this fight would be a tough one for Daniel Dubois.
Tough fight, former world champion. In fact, I was saying to Tyson tonight when we were talking, I said, you know, the age of Joe, and that, he said he's only 31, and I thought he was older than that, but he is actually 31. Former world champion, been, you know, he's been in with everybody, so you know it's going to be a tough fight for Daniel, and it's one obviously I'm looking forward to. And
while some analysts view Joseph Parker as a tough challenge for Daniel Dubois, Dubois himself is fully prepared to fight at his best. He recognizes the toughness of his opponent, but remains focused on the bigger picture, this fight being a stepping stone toward a shot at the undisputed world title. Despite the high stakes, Dubois exuded confidence during his face-off with Parker, showing that he's ready for the challenge ahead.
This is the fight that's going to lead me to, you know, challenging for the undisputed world title. So, you know, I need the tough test, and this is what my team put in front of me, so I'm confident of coming through it.
Joseph Parker also shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight, describing it as a significant challenge. He acknowledged that Dubois, with his 3 solid victories, has proven himself as a formidable opponent. He said, "Oh listen, it's a very important fight. It's a big fight and a big challenge and a big task. You have a fighter like the boy, Dubois, who's come 3 with good wins that I didn't think he was going to get." And I said, credit to him for getting those wins in the fashion that he did. I feel like this is going to be the best. Derek Chisora has offered his insights on this upcoming fight between Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker. He predicted that Daniel would knock out Joseph in the first 6 rounds.
Daniel should win in the first 6 rounds, 6, 7 rounds. After that, it's a long night. But I can guarantee you, one of those men is going to take a knee in the first couple rounds.
Heavyweight contender Martin Bacol recently shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight between Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois, picking Parker as the winner. He explained that Parker's experience makes him far superior to Dubois. Bacol highlighted Parker's continued hard work to improve, despite Parker's loss to Joshua in the past, could pave his way to becoming the winner. He emphasized that Parker's superior movement would play a key role, ultimately tipping the scales in Parker's favor for the win.
Because I know Parker's got more experience, he's got movement that Daniel Dubois does, and is working hard to improve a lot after the loss against AJ. So I think he will win the fight.
Martin Bacol criticized Daniel Dubois for lacking impressive footwork, claiming that Dubois doesn't understand the fundamentals of movement. He said, "Dubois doesn't have footwork, so he doesn't know anything, doesn't have a good chin." Echoing Martin Bacol's sentiment, renowned boxer Chris Lovejoy also backed Joseph Parker to win, criticizing Daniel Dubois' fighting skills. Lovejoy blasted Dubois for lacking true technical ability and rated Parker as the more skilled fighter. He asserted that Parker would prove to be a tough challenge for Dubois, particularly in the early rounds.
I got Parker. Daniel Dubois, he just can't really get right. He has no real skill. Pretty durable chin. Art is kind of questionable. But I don't think skill-wise he can mess with Parker. I think Parker would be too much for him. I think Parker would be too much for him early in the fight.
Let's not forget the main event on the card, which features none other than Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. Fans have eagerly awaited this rematch for a long time, and a number of analysts have shared their thoughts on what could be an explosive showdown. Renowned boxing analyst Russ Anber has weighed in on the upcoming rematch, expressing concerns about whether Beterbiev has improved since their last bout. He pointed out that the world has yet to see Beterbiev at his peak, but believes the fighter has likely evolved and will be in better shape this time.
How much more he can improve on his performance. I think he boxed an excellent fight. I'm not sure what alternatives he can come up with, but I do believe that Beterbiev can improve on his last performance. I don't think we saw Beterbiev at his best.
Russ Anber reflected on the last bout between Dmitry Bivol and Beterbiev. He thinks Beterbiev was conservative in his last battle. He said, "I think he had surgery on the knee. He wasn't coming back. He wasn't as forceful as he usually is. He seemed to be a lot more conservative. I personally gave him the edge at the end of the fight. I thought he closed out the last 3 rounds quite solidly. I thought he showed that he was able to hurt Bivol. I think he can improve on his performance." Russ Anber went on to suggest that Dmitry Bivol will need to come up with something special to improve his performance this time and effectively handle whatever Beterbiev brings to the table. At the same time, he praised the fight, highlighting that this initiative is a great step forward for boxing.
Bivol's going to have to come up with something. He's going to have to pull something out of the hat to come up with a better performance than overtake whatever Beterbiev brings to the table. But at least it's a great fight. At least the rematch is made, and that's great for boxing.
Artur Beterbiev's trainer, Mark Ramsey, recently analyzed the upcoming rematch with Dmitry Bivol. Reflecting on their previous fight, Ramsey noted that Beterbiev struggled to land a solid punch. However, he confidently stated that this time, Beterbiev will deliver far more damage to Bivol.
In the first fight, we really beat him up physically, like you say, but it was never really clean punch that we are able. He came. We have to give him that. He came with a very strong, tight defense in that fight, and we was not able to really make him do a bad move and catch him right on the chin or right. Majority of the punch was on the guard and outside of the straight punches, straight right. He was hard to catch, very clean. I think we can do a way better job at this, using the right angle and the right punch at the right moment. And of course, it would do a lot.
Spencer Brown has shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight. Despite admitting that Beterbiev is a very hard man to beat, he went on to favor Bivol.
Main event of the evening, Mr. Beterbiev against Mr. Bivol.
Bivol.
I think Bivol won the first one, Spencer. After watching it back.
2 rounds?
I had 7-5.
2 rounds?
Yeah, I had exactly the same.
So I think Dmitry Bivol will come. He's a very hard man to beat, though. Beterbiev's a hard man to beat, isn't he?
David Benavidez also expressed his belief in Bivol's favor, highlighting the key fighting skills that could lead to his victory. He emphasized that Bivol's technical abilities and the massive weight gain make him a formidable opponent capable of winning the rematch.
I'm kind of leaning again with Bivol. Bivol is a great boxer and he has punching power. And then Beterbiev, I think he's a little bit older. I think his body's breaking down a little bit. He works really hard. I don't take nothing away from him, but he does a lot of weights. And in boxing, when you do too much weights like that, that's when you start to break down more. So
Jose Benavidez Sr. also shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight, predicting that it could yield the same result as their previous bout. He expressed his belief in Bivol's abilities, suggesting that he has the potential to win again. He said, "I think it's going to be kind of the same fight. It's going to be a really close fight. We've seen everything. Both of them were trying to do the best that they could. Both of them, the styles, kind of work for each other, and I believe in the first 5 rounds, Bivol won. I think in this fight, I think Bivol can win again. He's a little bit faster. He has more movement, and Beterbiev, he hits hard probably. So I think I see the same fight." That was all for today. Share your thoughts on this Riyadh season card, and also share your predictions on who you think would be the winner in these fights. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to get all the future updates.